Number 6, how can I help someone who has suicidal thoughts? Please get some professional help at the earliest opportunity for that person, and mention that because of the risk of harm to the person, you cannot keep confidentiality because you care too much about them. It really is important not to avoid the word suicide. Listen to them, talk to them, ask them about their suicidal thoughts. Ask them what you can do to help. Be aware of your own behaviours. Many people do want a chance to talk, but they feel they might be a burden to the people around them. If you have the behaviour where you don't have time to talk about it, or you dismiss emotions and feelings, this can make a person feel like they can't talk to you and that they are actually being a burden. You can let a person know that you are worried about them, as this shows them that you care. So you can literally say to them, I'm worried about you. Saying things like, I can't sleep worrying about you, will actually make a person feel worse because they're already overwhelmed. So please try not to make it about you. Make sure not to pile your stuff on top of them. Make sure not to say, you shouldn't feel that way. For them, this is real and it needs to be respected, valued and heard. If this is a difficult subject for you, then I encourage you to be open to find out about it. Again, well done in watching this. The more comfortable you are with the subject, the more comfortable they will feel. Ask them if they are comfortable to talk to you. If they don't want to talk to you, what you can do is not take the response personally. It could be that the person who is struggling sees you as a warrior and they don't want to make you feel worse. Ask them, is there someone else that they would like to speak to? And if they don't know the answer, just give them time. Let the person know that you respect their decision not to speak to you, and let them know that you are there for them if they ever change their mind. Again, remain calm. They are more likely to speak to you if they feel confident that you can handle hearing their thoughts. You can offer to sit with them if that's okay with them, or just be with them and appreciate what they want to do. If they do want to talk to you, then be silent. Allow them to talk when they are ready. Oftentimes people will try to make others talk because they themselves are uncomfortable with silences. If this is you, then I encourage you to learn how to be comfortable with silences through meditation, yoga or mindfulness. Remain calm. You can do this by breathing slowly and deeply. In through your nose, pause and out through your mouth, counting in for 3 and out for 5. Ground yourself. Be aware of the floor beneath your feet. Look at 5 things around you in the room and just name them. This is just bringing you into the moment. When they do want to speak to you, just listen. Take them seriously. If they tell you that they are suicidal, acknowledge what they have just said by saying it back to them in a non-judgmental way. So for example, just to make sure I'm hearing you, you're saying that you're suicidal. Can you say more about that? You can show compassion by imagining yourself in their shoes. By being empathic and showing compassion for the person will show them that you care. Often people want to talk, but they find it difficult. You can ask, is it okay if I ask you questions and you can choose if you want to answer them or not? If they agree, then try to ask open questions like, how long have you been feeling this way? Or, are you okay to tell me more about your suicidal thoughts? You can ask questions about how did that make you feel. Keep the questions open, keep the conversation going as much as you can. Again, repeat back what they've said to you because this shows that you are listening, and ask questions if it feels appropriate. You can ask them when you are having suicidal thoughts, are there things that help you feel better? Things like if they have a pet or having it around them, writing things down or having a good cry. Or you can offer them a hug and allow them to cry. Please be careful not to say, hush now, don't cry, as this makes it about you not being comfortable with them crying. Crying is really important as it helps the person to offload that built up emotion. You can ask them questions about support like, have you talked to anyone else about your suicidal thoughts? Or would you be open to talking to a counsellor? Or would you be willing to speak to the doctor to see what options there are? If they say yes, you could say, would you like me to go with you? If you say something that appears to cause more upset, don't panic. It is important that you look after yourself and talk to someone too, like a friend or a counsellor. If you are struggling with helping someone, you can always call the Samaritans or the Befrienders International. You might feel that you don't know how to help someone because you don't know what to tell them or how to solve their problems. I mean, sometimes it's easy to want to try and fix a person's problems or give them advice. However, sometimes people who think they have the answers to a problem are actually less helpful. It's not your responsibility. Try and let them make their own decisions in their own time. And you know what? It's okay to not know what to say. You can actually say, I'm not sure what to say or do or how to help, but I'm here with you and I care. On a practical level, if the person is suicidal, then think about the environment and how you can make it safer. Is there a gun or a rope in the house? Does the person know where it is? And can you put it in a safe place? Does the person have access to a lot of medication and can you monitor this? You can be mindful of any sharp objects in the house like knives, razor blades, and monitor them so they are out of harm's way. You can ask direct questions like, have you already planned how to end your life? And how are you going to do it? Ask them the details about it. Try and find out when and where they are planning to do it. If they are planning to do it that day, this will give you time to ring the police to intervene. Most times, if someone tells you when and where they're going to do it, it can mean that they want help. It can also be a big relief for the person to be able to talk about suicide. This really is important because so many people have said this. Sometimes I will use what's known as appropriate disclosure and I will say how I felt when I was suicidal. A lot of the time, because the person hasn't spoken about it, they can feel like they are the only one going through this. This again makes them feel isolated, alone and overwhelmed. They can feel trapped and scared of their own mind. They need understanding to know that they are not alone, that someone understands them. Share your experience if it's relevant and be mindful not to share so much that it makes it about you. Share enough so that the person doesn't feel so alone with their thoughts. Don't forget that every person is different, so what works for one will not always work for the other. Be open and honest that you are both learning what works. People who have felt suicidal often say what a huge relief it is to be able to talk about what they're experiencing. Once someone starts talking, they've got a better chance of discovering other options to suicide. It is actually proven that by just being there and giving that space for the person to offload can reduce their suicidal feelings. It's a bit like the saying, a problem shared is a problem halved.